Drink of the day, vitamin C, because COVID is real and you will die. Really? Really, nigga? Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm literally just looking at my stats on YouTube and you guys have gotten my first video to 250 views. Like, I'm so excited. I did not think that we're going to get this far, right? I was just doing this like for fun. You guys came through for your girl. And we're at 87 subscribers, which is really exciting. Seeing as this channel is just about a week old, I'm really excited. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like this video and you like what you see, and then you'll be coming back for more. If you're a returning subscriber, I love you. Anyways, today's video is going to be about something that's happening in the world right now that everybody is talking about. As you all know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's very messy because nobody really fully understands COVID and how it works, right? So I'm going to be telling you today about my experience, my personal experience, and then answering a couple of questions that people have been asking me randomly about COVID. So let's get right into the video. Drink of the day, vitamin C, because COVID is real and you will die. So let's start the story from, I had to write again because recording in my phone. Thursday, 14th January 2021. So on Thursday, 14th January 2021, my team was on duty. And we got a patient who was 41, if I remember correctly, a male, no known comorbidities, who came in with difficulty breathing. And I requested for a chest x-ray, and when the chest x-ray came back, it did not look great. So I was just about to request that he gets a COVID screen. And then his sister that he came in with casually mentions that, oh, so we tested for COVID before coming in today and I just got called with the results. Now, mind you, she was being really calm about it. So I assumed that, oh, the way she's casually saying it, then he's probably negative, because if he was positive, she would be a bit more agitated or should attach some seriousness to her expression. Guess what? Surprise, he was positive. Now, it was at that point that I started to get triggered, because I mean, the whole situation was very irritating, because how he even got to us at the ER doctor station was very weird, and it was really irritating. So I don't want to go into the details, but he wasn't wearing a mask. That was the first thing. I was wearing a mask. If you're on my Snapchat, you know that I usually wear a double mask, like a surgical mask and then a KN95 on top, because bro, I got COVID last year in June and it was not easy. So I did not want to get COVID again. So when we were told that his results were positive, we just moved him from where he was with us to, the COVID holding bay for further management, and that was it. So I told my boss that I feel like I've been really exposed to this guy, so maybe sometime in the future I would like to test, because even though I was wearing my mask, there's a lot that happens in this hospital, so just to be sure. And at the time, one of my colleagues was seriously ill and we thought it was COVID as well, and so I was just like, let's just be safe, let me just get tested, right? Then, as if that was not enough, on Saturday, we were on weekend duty that weekend. So on Saturday, 16th January, at night, because I was doing the night cover, there was a 36-year-old man that was brought in, no known comorbidities, who had severe difficulty breathing, had 2 prior negative COVID tests, but had a very bad chest x-ray. And so I felt like even though he's had 2 negative COVID tests, we should just test him again, because I mean, you can never be too sure. Because we had a case on the ward who unfortunately passed, and we had tested her for COVID 3 times, and the first 2 were negative. And it was after she died that the 3rd test results came back and it was positive. So negative COVID tests don't mean anything to me, because you can be negative today in the morning and then in the evening we'll test again and they are positive. So if you tell me they have a negative COVID test, it really doesn't mean anything to me, right? Good. So this 36-year-old came in, and then like when I was taking the history, I realized that he had just come in from the UK about 10 days prior, and he had been feeling unwell for some time. He had even started treatment at home because his sister was a doctor, so they were treating for a pneumonia at home. But however, because his first 2 COVID tests were negative, everybody felt like it couldn't be COVID, but I was like, this could still be COVID. Because I mean, I have this theory that the PCR, I think a lot of people agree with me, that the PCR only picks up the strains that is being programmed to pick up. And so if you have like a mutated strain or a new strain or one of those strange strains of COVID, it doesn't pick it up. So your test is obviously going to be negative, even when you're clinically very ill. And then so this was Saturday night. Then on Monday, I was feeling some type of way. But I felt like, I had done night shifts back to back, because I had done Saturday night and Sunday night, and both nights were really messy. If you know how the ER can get sometimes at night, like I hadn't slept throughout any of those nights, so probably that was what was going on, and I was just tiredness. So I was like, okay, let me just sleep it off, maybe it's going to go. So after ward rounds on Monday, post-duty rounds, I came home, and then I took some painkillers, and then I went to sleep, hoping that I'll wake up feeling better, and then like the muscle pain that I was experiencing would go down, and then that the headache would also be gone. Guess who woke up with a banging headache and muscle pain that was just not going anywhere? And I still felt very fatigued, so I was wondering what's going on. Like I just didn't feel myself. So on Tuesday morning, when I went to work, I spoke to a colleague, and she was like, she's going to test for COVID herself, so maybe I should let us go and then go and test together. But later on, when I found her, she had already gone to do the test without me. But I was feeling very unwell, and so she said, come and sit down and let me just check your vitals and then see what's going on. And then they tried to check my oxygen saturation, and it was unrecordable. But I said, maybe it's just the pulse oximeter that's not working properly, because this ward, you know that nothing really ever works properly. So maybe the pulse oximeter is having one of its days. I was trying to make excuses for the reason why my SpO2 was unrecordable, because I felt like I was fit and that I probably even had malaria. So I just ignored it. But what made me sit up was that when my blood pressure was checked, it was high. I usually have a baseline blood pressure of 114/75. So usually when I'm checking my blood pressure, that's what I'm expecting, plus or minus maybe 5. So when I checked my blood pressure on that day, it was 138/95, which was very high for me, knowing what my baseline is. So that was what made me a bit worried. So I texted my resident, and I told her what my symptoms were, that I was having this bad headache that won't go away. All my muscles were aching, including ones I didn't even know existed. And on the Tuesday, I started to experience diarrhea. And now why that really bothered me was that the first time I had COVID, which was in June last year, my primary symptom was diarrhea. Like I had this very terrible diarrhea. So I was like, diarrhea again? Bro, this kind of looks familiar, but I'm just not going to bother. I'm just going to like treat for malaria because I think it's malaria that I have. So I went to try to get my sample taken for the COVID test, and then I was told that I can't take my sample that day and I'd have to come back the next day to have the sample taken, which was Wednesday. So I came back home, came to pump myself with more painkillers, and I started praying and hoping that I was going to be fine. So I called my mom and I told her, and I was like, see, this is what's happening to your baby girl. So if you're gonna start praying, you better start praying now, right? So on Wednesday morning, when I got to work, the first thing I did was I drove straight to the Center for Disease Control, or it's called Disease Control Office or something like that. I drove straight there and then got my sample taken. Now on Wednesday, I was supposed to be on cover, which means I was supposed to be at work till 8 p.m. So when I updated my residents, oh, I've gone to take my sample, this is what they said. They said the results were going to be ready in 2 weeks, and I feel like it's pointless if I'm going to get the results back in 2 weeks, because if I was going to die, I'd have died anyways. So can she do something about it? Then she was like, oh, it's just something that they say and that it would be ready before the 2 weeks are up. So it's like, cool stuff. So I got up, I was working, and I was just getting really tired easily. I took the stairs because the elevator was taking forever to come down. And when I got to the 4th floor, I was so out of breath. I couldn't breathe. Like, I felt like my chest wanted to explode so that my heart could come out, because like my heart wasn't getting space to expand inside my chest. It was a very terrible feeling, and I'd never felt anything like that before. I mean, whenever you do something like you climb stairs, you're tired, but I had never felt like that kind of pounding in my chest where I felt like my chest wanted to explode and my heart wanted to come out. So now I was beginning to be a bit more worried. But you know, I was trying to tell everybody that, oh, I was fine. I was trying to be a hard girl, all that kind of thing. So I updated my resident, and then she's like, check your vitals and then let me know. Now this is the scary part. So I go and sit down, and then I get my blood pressure checked, and it's 120 something, 80 something, and I'm like, oh, it's better than yesterday, so that's a good thing. I guess my body is behaving now. Now they bring the pulse oximeter and they're checking my saturation, and for about a minute it's not reading. And I don't have on nail polish, I don't have on fake nails or acrylic nails, so I'm wondering what's going on, because usually she reads in a couple of seconds. Then eventually it reads and it's 89%. Hey, am I coming to die? Because like, why is my oxygen saturation 89? On a regular, I mean, I'm rarely 100, but I'm usually 99, 98 at worst. So I'd never seen anything below 98 for myself before. So it was really scary. So I sat down for a bit, hoping that was gonna come up, with the pulse oximeter still on my hand. And the best that it did, the best that it came up to was 92, 93. And even with that, it dropped back to 90. So then now I became a bit worried. So I updated my residents that this is what's going on. And she said that, well, if your oxygen saturation is below 95, I cannot let you go home. And I told her that I live alone, and so I feel like even if I'm infected, I will not be exposing anyone. And so I can come home and then just be home and take my medications. And she said no, because it was even more dangerous because I live alone, because if anything is happening to me in the middle of the night or at a point where I'm alone and I'm too weak to drive, it will be really difficult for me to get attention. But in the hospital, I'll be surrounded by healthcare staff, so she felt like that was a better option. So I just told her that, okay, like I'll keep monitoring and then giving her feedback, because I really, really, really did not want to spend the night in the hospital. Eventually, I checked and it had come up to 94, so I was feeling myself, I was feeling like I was good. But if I tell you the kind of diarrhea that I had on that Wednesday, you would not believe it. Like, nothing was staying in my stomach, nothing. And I hadn't even eaten because I was scared that when I eat it was gonna get worse. But I just kept going to the bathroom countless number of times. So at a point I was so dehydrated, like my colleague just looked at me and was like, Ida, we can't do this. So they set an IV line, and then they hydrated me with Ringus lactate. So they did it for me, and I finished the cover around 8 p.m. When I checked my saturation, it was 96. So I called my resident and I told her that this is what it is, it's 96. I'm going to try and get a chest x-ray done, and then I'm going to let you know what happens. But after the chest x-ray, I'm going to go home because I do not have any plans of spending the night in this hospital. She said, cool stuff. I went downstairs to the imaging department, and they said that the person who's supposed to be on night shift for the imaging has not come to work. I waited till about 9 p.m. and the person had still not reported to work. So I just decided to go home and then come and get the x-ray done the next day, which was Thursday. And we're supposed to be on duty again on the Thursday. So I came to work in the morning and I went to get my x-ray done. So at first glance, the x-ray looked essentially normal, except that there were, this is going to be a bit technical, but I'll try to make it as easy as possible. So there were some opacifications in the hilar region, especially on the right. And then when you look at the peripheries of the lungs, it looked like it wasn't properly aerated. And that was it. So the ER doctors who were in charge of COVID, the doctors at the resus unit, they saw me and they were like looking at my symptoms. And then on the Thursday morning, I had developed a cough and chest pain. And so they just assessed me, looked at my symptoms, and my saturations had decided to sit at 90 and no move. So they were like looking at what my saturations are doing, even though my chest x-ray looks essentially normal. Looking at the symptoms, looking at my saturations, they don't think I can go home. And that their working diagnosis moving forward was going to be COVID until proven otherwise. So residents got updated. She's like, Ida, get yourself a VIP room on the ward, because if there's no VIP room on the ward, you are going to be in the main ward. So just figure it out and then sort it out fast, because you are not going home. And I told her I didn't have anything, like I didn't have any change of clothes because I wasn't planning to get admitted and all that. And so at the end of the day, one of my colleagues drove me home, and then I picked up a couple of things that I thought I would need. This cup was my best friend in the hospital. And then I went back to the hospital to be admitted. The first thing that was done when I was admitted was I was put on oxygen because my saturations wouldn't come up. And I was only breathless or had difficulty breathing when I like exit. So when I walk, when I do any physical activity, and then I get breathless or I start experiencing difficulty breathing. But that aside, I just felt like, I don't know, you know how you feel like when you have malaria, you know that you are not well, but you also feel like it's not so bad. That's how I was feeling generally. But on the Thursday night, or was it Friday morning, I even lost track of time at a point. I was feeling so terrible. I was in so much pain. My chest was hurting. I had this terrible cough. And the headache that started on Monday had still not gone away. So, I forgot to say, on Wednesday, after I was trying to do the chest x-ray and I couldn't do it. I just passed through a pharmacy and got myself antibiotics and started treating, because I was like, if this is COVID, let me just start treating, right? And I know what the treatment is because I'm a doctor and then I see people. So let me just start the treatment. So after I got the IV fluids, they just gave me the first dose of the IV treatment, and then I got the tablets and then I took the first dose as well. So on Thursday when I was admitted, I had already started medicating because I'm too young to die, bro. So I was in the hospital.
I'm just going to do like a mini room tour of the room that I was in the hospital. So this is the door that enters, and then when you enter, the light switch and the fan switch are here. This door is usually closed. That's the door to the bathroom, and then you open it. The light comes on automatically when you open the door. Here's the bathroom mirror. I still have my cannula in, yet to get it taken out. Yeah, the shower, and then there's the toilet. That's like really cute. And then when you come out, you get into the room itself. There's a fridge, it works, and then there's the bedside table. Then there's the bed. That was my oxygen mask and my peak flow meter. Is it called a peak flow meter? I think so. That was my drip stand. That's the last IV medication I had to take. And this was like a wardrobe that comes with the room. Then there's a chair for visitors, and then there's a TV. The lights above the TV, and there's one right there. And then there's the AC, and then there's the fan. So yeah, really cute. One room for one sick person.
The sweet thing is
Filming this on Snapchat so that you can see the timestamp. It's almost 1 a.m. and I just finished editing. Well, I'm actually not really done, but the video is really long, like it's 50 minutes ish. And so what's going to happen is that I'm going to divide it into two. I'm going to post the parts 1 today, which is Friday, and then I'll post the part 2 probably on Sunday, so that you don't have to sit through one really long video. Okay, so don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.